Hi, I'm Bill Bragan, Executive Artistic Director of the Art Center at NYU Abu Dhabi. Welcome to the 6th annual celebration of UAE National Day, Hekayah, the story. I want to thank the Art Center's lead sponsor, the telephone company Swipe, our sustaining sponsor JAC, as well as our media partners, the National, Al Ittihad, Abu Dhabi World, Yalla Magazines, and Time Out Abu Dhabi. I also want to thank all the staff at the Art Center for their hard work in making everything possible this season. Before we go on, just a few notes about upcoming programs. Next up, on December 7th, our annual contemporary Arab film series, Cinema Na, will present You Will Die at 20. This is Sudan's historic first ever entry into the Academy Awards, and the screening will be followed by a live Q&A with director Amjad Abu Alala. Next, on Thursday, December 10th, Kid Koala will return with a chill-out DJ set designed to spark your creativity, music to draw to. And just added on Monday, December 14th, we'll have a special pre-holiday concert from Abu Dhabi choral group entitled Nostalgia. To find out more, follow at NYUAD Art Center on social media or on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and at nyuad-artcenter.org on the web. And subscribe to our YouTube channel to see many past events. And now for Hekayah, the story. Tonight's multinational lineup of performers has been selected through a collaborative curatorial process around the themes of UAE's National Day, such as heritage, home, identity, and family. The curators and nominators are all key players in the cultural, literary, and arts communities across the UAE. They are Maitha Al-Suwaidi, Noor Al-Suwaidi, Tishani Doshi, Hanan Syed Warrell, Dorian Paul Rogers, and myself. I want to thank all of them for nominating such a talented group of artists. On behalf of NYU Abu Dhabi, I also want to congratulate two of tonight's performers, our host Maitha Al-Suwaidi and poet Hora Ali Al-Nuaimi. Both were recently announced as recipients of the Rhodes Scholarship. We're very proud of your accomplishments. We'd love to hear from you during the show. If you're in the chat, let us know where you're watching from, and if you want to show some love, use your emojis. And now, please welcome poet, scholar, archer, past Hekayah performer, curator, and your host for tonight, Maitha Al-Suwaidi. Enjoy.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the 6th annual edition of Hekayah, the story. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope that you are tuning in with friends and family members, perhaps enjoying the beautiful weather if you're watching from the UAE, and indulging in the festivities of the UAE's 49th National Day celebrations. My name is Maitha Suwaidi, and I will be your MC for the evening. I also served as one of the 6 curators that brought this event to life, along with Noor Al-Suwaidi, Tishani Doshi, Hanan Al-Sayed Warrell, Dorian Paul Rogers, and Bill Bragan. I am also a 4th-year student at NYUAD, majoring in political science and minoring in creative writing and sociology. I speak to you all today in my capacity as an individual intimately fond of creative expression. I am a writer and a performer myself, and Hekayah has been a big milestone in my life as an artist, having performed my poetry just last year. Today, in the 6th annual event, we can say that Hekayah has become a special, crucial tradition of the Art Center at NYU Abu Dhabi. Every year, this event brings people together for a night of celebration, reflection, and expression. We commemorate the UAE's 49th National Day through poetry, prose, music, and song. Each unique voice that will be showcased today represents a different part of the diversity that the Emirates tirelessly welcomes and celebrates. We invite you to celebrate this diversity in voices, backgrounds, and creative expression with us. While we unfortunately were not able to come together in person for Hekayah as we usually do, we are excited for the opportunities that this virtual setting opened to us. We have a lineup of performers joining us from the UAE, the United States, Canada, and Kuwait. We also have an amazing audience joining us from all over the world. This year, Hekayah perfectly embodies limits becoming new possibilities. and we are so excited to begin our celebrations with our breathtaking lineup. Our first performer is Maysoon Mubarak, an NYUAD staff member who grew up in the UAE. Maysoon sings beautiful Arabic choral music and was part of a music choir during which she performed in a number of renowned music festivals. Following Maysoon, we have Sophia Elhilu. Sophia is the author of The January Children, Girls That Never Die, and Home Is Not a Country. Sophia is Sudanese American by way of Washington, D.C., and graduated from NYU Gallatin, where she was a founding member of the Slam NYU team. Her poetry is nuanced and riveting and has impacted many Arab youth. Please welcome Maysoon Mubarak and Sophia Elhilu.
As a long-term resident and as someone who has so much love and appreciation for the UAE, I will now be singing the national anthem. عايشي بلادي عاش اتحاد إماراتنا عشتي للشعب دينه الإسلام هديه القرآن حصنتك بسم الله يا وطن بلادي 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 حماك الإله شرور الزمان أقسمنا أن نبني نعمل نخلص مهما عشنا نخلص دام الأمان عاش العالم يا إماراتنا رمز العروبة كلنا نفديك بالدماء نرويك نفديك بالأرواح يا وطن. I will be performing Hekayah Baladi, which means my beautiful country, by the very famous singer Dalida. كلمة حلوة وكلمتين حلوة يا بلدي غنوة حلوة وغنوتين حلوة يا بلدي أملي دايما كان يا بلدي إني أرجع لك يا بلدي وأفضل دايما جنبك على طول وذكريات كل اللي فات فاكرة يا بلدي قلبي مليان بحكايات فاكرة يا بلدي أول حب كان في بلدي مش ممكن أنسى يا بلدي فين أيام زمان قبل الوداع كنا بنقول إن الفراق ده مستحيل وكل دمعة على الخدين كانت بتسيل مليانة بأمل إن احنا نبقى موجودين في بحر الحب على الشطين يا ليلي يا ليلي يا ليلي كلمة حلوة وكلمتين حلوة يا بلدي غنوة حلوة وغنوتين
حبيب القلب يا بلدي كان بعيد عني يا بلدي وكل ما بغني بفكر فيك
Did our mothers invent loneliness, or did it make them our mothers? Were we fathered by silence or just looking to explain away this gaping quiet? Is it wasteful or wistful to pray for our brothers in a language they never learned? Whose daughters are we if we grow old before our mothers, or for their sakes? They called our grandfathers the January children, lined up by the colonizer and assigned birth years by height. There is no answer. We come from men who do not know when they were born, who married women shown to them in photographs, whose children left the country and tried for romance and had daughters full of all the wrong language. And at the musicians' club in Durman, a singer is stabbed to death for playing secular music. The month before, a violinist on his way home is beaten by police, his instruments smashed to matchwood. All the bars in Khartoum are closed down. All the alcohol in Khartoum poured into the Nile. A new law forbids women from dancing in the presence of men. Another bans song lyrics that mention women's bodies. And at a party in Durman, lights strung among the date palms, my not yet mother, honey legs in a skirt, opens her mouth and the night air is the gap in her teeth. She sings in the lilting English to a slow song, while bodies around her pair off and press close. Before he is my father smokes a cigarette and shows all his teeth when he laughs, wants to ask the dark gold girl how her English got so good, what the words mean, and could he sing something sometime into the gap in her teeth. But first, police arrive, rip lanterns from trees and fire a shot through the final notes of the song. And tonight, my parents do not meet. But I imagine Khartoum as it was in the 80s. My mother with ribbons in her hair, dress fanning about her nutmeg calves. My father, who I hear was so lively and handsome that only bad magic could have emptied that and filled him with smoke. The borrowed record player, the generation that would leave to make nostalgia of these nights, to hyphenate their children and grow gnarled by every winter. But tonight, Motown crackling in the hot twilight, mosquitoes drifting near the lanterns, my parents dance without ever touching. The story goes, my father would never unwrap a piece of gum without saving half for my mother. The story goes, my mother saved all the halves in a jar. That's not the point. I'm not looking for anything serious, just someone to watch my plants when I'm gone. You can sing now if you want to. They're worried no one will marry me. I have an accent in every language. I want to be left alone, but that's not how you make grandchildren. I can't go home with you. Home is a place in time. That's not how you get me to dance. I'm not from here. I'm not from anywhere. I mean to say that I don't know that song. And in the divorce, I separate to two piles. Books, English, love songs, Arabic. My angers, my schooling, my long repeating name, English, English, Arabic. I am someone's daughter, but I am American born. It shows in my short memory, my ahistoric glamour, my clumsy tongue when I forget the word for. In Arabic, I sleep unbroken dark hours on airplanes home and dream I've missed my connecting flight. I dream a new and fluent mouth full of gauzy swaths of Arabic. I dream my alternate selves, each with a face borrowed from photographs of the girl who became my grandmother, brows and body rounded and cursive like Arabic, but awake to the usual borderlands. I crowd shining slivers of English to my mouth. Iris, crocus, inlet, heron. How dare I love a word without knowing it in Arabic? And what even is translation? Is immigration? Without irony, Sophia means pure. All my life it's been true, even in my clouded Arabic. And now the lyrics do not translate. Arabic is all verbs for what stays still in other languages. Tasbah, to morning, what the translation to awake cannot honor, cannot contain its rhyme with tasbah, to swim, to make the night a body of water. I am here now, and I am not buoyant. I am 29 and always sick, small for my age and always translating. I cannot sleep through the night. No language has given me the rhyme between ocean and wound that I know to be true. Sometimes, when the doctors draw my blood, I feel the word at the edge of my tongue. Halim sings, Aghraq, Aghraq. I am drowning, I am drowning. The single word for all the water in his throat does not translate. Halim sings, teach me to kill the tear in its duct. Halim sings, I have no experience in love, nor have I a boat, and I know he cannot rest, cannot swim through the night. I am looking for a voice with a wound in it, a man who could only have died by a form of drowning. Let the song take its time. Let the ocean close back up. So I understand why you did not call me back. I peel and cannot undress. I wear my grandfather and my left eye turns to milk. My grandmother and the curl unravels from my hair. I smell of flower and dill and acidic perfume. I wear my mother and remember a garden with magnolia flowers. A scarf packs up my heavy hair. I wear my brother and a bullet is assigned me at birth. I wear blood in my mouth where a man's name or a language should be. Alternate ending. The dead boy is poured back into his body. I try to leave home, but the ocean bares its teeth. And where I'm from is where I'm from and not where I was put. It's morning, and my grandmother pins hot colors to the clothesline. It's evening, I'm on a date, and the words, say something to me in Arabic, fall backwards down his throat. So what is a country but the drawing of a line? Today I draw thick black lines around my eyes and they are a country, and thick red lines around my lips and they are a country, and the knife that chops the onions draws a smooth line through my finger and that is a country, and the tightening denim presses a soft purple line into my belly, and when I smile like my mother, a line flashes between my two front teeth, and for every country I lose, I make another, and I make another.
Next in line, we have Miyamoto is Black Enough, with band members from Trinidad and the USA. The band is named after Ariana Miyamoto, the child of an African-American father and a Japanese mother who was described by many Japanese as not Japanese enough after winning Miss Universe Japan 2015. They feature a virtuosic combination of poetry by Roger Bonaire Agard, steel pan by Andy Akiho, cello from Jeffrey Ziegler, and electric drums and bass by Sean Dixon. MIBE's performance will be accompanied by visuals from Saudi Arabian calligraffiti artist Majid Ahmed, whose work you'll be seeing throughout the night. He is a visual artist and designer, specializing in graffiti and murals as well as live shows, and has contributed for Reebok Mina, Adidas, and Givenchy, to name a few. Featuring the Emirates' very own Hur al-Naimi, an NYU Abu Dhabi student and just announced Rhodes Scholar, currently studying political science and literature. Hur integrates Arabic and English forms in her work and experiments with translations and retranslations in poetry. I personally have always been inspired by Hur's poetry. Let's welcome Miyamoto is Black Enough and Hur al-Naimi.
Nina. The bike shop used to be a bodega. The liquor store used to be a pizza parlor. That cafe used to be an Italian restaurant. That kiosk used to be Joe, an old man on a little stool. The yoga studio used to be a butcher's. The bar with jars of M&Ms on the counter used to be a candy store. This park used to be a park. with cracked vials and potholes on the running track, and dirt in the center of the field where grass should be. And that dog run was a field of geraniums. The Dominican restaurant used to be cheap, used to have a line out the door. I used to be able to afford to live above it and come down in the middle of the night and get half a chicken and a Heineken, especially after my girl left and I was tired staring at the linoleum and the sloping floors. The organic market used to be a sneaker store. Kim's Grocery used to sell 40s. The Subway stop used to be dangerous. The coffee shop used to be a law office run by Mr. Jenkins. That sushi bar used to be the Jamaican spot. Those condos used to be a 3-family house. I loved a woman who lived there. The barber shop used to be a papa's house and was once overrun by rats. We filled in the spaces between the steps leading down to what used to be the storage room, but was your papa's floor. We clubbed the rats when we saw them. They screamed like children. The Thai joint used to be the OTB, and every morning Joe, the old man on the stool, walked there, bought coffee for 50 cents, and placed two $2 bets, and went back to his stool and called out to me, "Hey, young fella," and told me how it used to be. Coffee used to be 50 cents, Nina. Beat cops used to be in squad cars. They weren't always so polite. Biggie used to freestyle right over there on that corner, and Jay-Z came up right over here by Marcy, and Big Daddy Kane once played a block party here on Marcus Garvey, and your father used to be slim and ran these courts on Macon and Malcolm X. He once almost dunked on a college prospect. The New Casablanca Bar and Lounge used to be for old black people. Old black people used to be able to afford this corner. This garden used to be a drum circle before the new neighbors called the cops to complain. Stuyvesant Heights used to be Bed-Stuy. That family with a stroller used to be black. Those young people on the stoop over there used to be black and Puerto Rican and arrested. That school used to be public. This used to be Brooklyn. This used to be Brooklyn. They used to be scared to come here. They used to be scared to come here. They used to be scared to come here. They used to be sorry for us that we had to live here. It was a look like pity, like scorn. It looked like this corner and these bricks and this stoop. Brooklyn was what they left when they ran. Brooklyn was what they left when they ran. Brooklyn was what they left when they ran. Brooklyn used to be black, Nina. I swear to you, this used to be Brooklyn. doggy daycare used to sell dashikis. That bar used to be a flower shop. The artisanal coffee shop used to be Jollof restaurant. This used to be Brooklyn.
This piece, drawn from an original three-stanza Arabic poem, is called Turmeric. In a morgue far from the oasis, we washed her away, we kissed her forehead goodbye, and she smiled. في مغسلة بعيدة عن الواحة غسلنا جسمها فاختفت وقبلنا جبينها فابتسمت. In a morgue far from the oasis, في مغسلة بعيدة عن الواحة, they washed her away with camphor as I saw myself huddled under her legs on a carpet she got from the Mina. I saw myself under the sun, her knees pressing my shoulders, her warm hands tracing golden rays of castor oil and a blend of jasmine and a prayer through my hair that traveled years and years to my tailbone. I saw myself under a star that dimmed as she braided a woman into my hair. I saw myself huddled under her legs في مغسلة بعيدة عن الواحة. They washed her away with rose water as I saw myself bruising my eyebrow on the corniche. I saw her hands dab turmeric on my forehead. I saw myself sleeping peacefully in orange blood, tears, and turmeric. I saw myself sleeping peacefully while everyone fought with her over modern medicine and turmeric. في مغسلة بعيدة عن الواحة. في مغسلة بعيدة عن الواحة كانت عيناها تتسابق مع النجوم، كانت وجنتاها تتفتح مع الورود، كانت يداها تمسح كركم على جبيني، كانت يداها الناعمة تمسح كركم على جبيني. في مغسلة بعيدة عن الواحة, they washed her away with musk as I saw her eyes compete with the stars, as I saw her cheeks dye with spring, as I saw her soft hands dab turmeric on my forehead, as I saw her soft hands dab turmeric on my forehead, as I saw her soft hands dab turmeric on my forehead. في مغسلة بعيدة عن الواحة, I washed her away with turmeric. I painted the walls, I painted the oasis in turmeric. I kissed her forehead goodbye, and she smiled. ثم أتى الرجال والتقى البحر بالرمال. The men then came and the sand met the tide. وغربت روحها مع الشمس ونامت بين ألف نفس. And in her grave she sat with the turmeric sun and slept with 1,000 weeping women. في مغسلة بعيدة عن الواحة, in a morgue far from the oasis, بكت السماء والنخيل وتعلمت مجددا معنى الرحيل.
Before we move on to more incredible performers, I'd love to perform a piece of my own. This one's called Amani's Nose, and it's part of a novella I'm currently writing in an advanced fiction class. Instructions. Gently place your right index finger on the bridge of your nose. Beware of using your left index finger. It may bring bad luck. Don't forget to take a deep breath. Run your right index finger up and down the bridge of your nose. Flatten the bump. Scrape the oil that surrounds its pores. Push against the bend of your nose. Breathe. Your nose is there to breathe, you know. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She made fun of her classmate's crooked tooth in the 5th grade. نسيت أن الله يبتلي من عاب. 5. لما كان عمرها 9 سنوات حاولت أن تكسر أنفها بمطرقة أبيها. She didn't care about breathing. She wanted to be like the pretty Bedouin girls in school. She cried herself to sleep when her grandmother asked about the earliest age a girl can get a nose job. She saved up her lunch money every day for the surgery. 5. It took 5 prayers a day to make her perfect. It took her 5 years to breathe through her nose again. 5. She crossed the forbidden bridge. It trembled beneath her feet. 5. She decided to finally wear her skin again. It didn't fit. The maid shrunk it in the washing machine. 5. قيل لولا اعوجاج القوس لما رمى. قيل لولا اعوجاج المسلم لما رمي من الصراط. قيل لولا اعوجاج أنفها لما ارتمت أماني في حضن غريمها مغرمها. Coming up, we have an incredible lineup of more talented NYUAD students repping the incredible artistic diversity that NYUAD celebrates. Mary Collins, born and raised in Michigan, is an NYUAD student studying creative writing and music. She is an indie folk singer-songwriter with an interest in exploring topics such as mental health, concepts of home, and the relationship between humans and the environment. Following Mary Collins is Maryam Al-Shihi from the UAE, currently a sophomore at NYUAD majoring in literature and political science. Describing herself as the daughter of Ras Al Khaimah's mountains, Maryam is a writer and a performer, passionate about the intersection between all disciplines and the arts. Let's welcome Mary and Maryam to our virtual stage.
Breathing in slow, I've been waiting for something to give, but all life does is take away from me. The world goes on turning, the seasons still change, we rearrange our lives. The best of intentions can't cover up pain, but we know that we'll give them a try. 'Cause a dream doesn't sound like a lie. So sing me awake, I've been sleeping for far too long, tying my heartstrings round broken promises. Searching for someone to love, but all love does is break our hearts again. The world goes on turning, the seasons still change, we rearrange our lives. The best of intentions can't cover up pain, but we know that we'll give them a try. 'Cause a dream doesn't sound like a lie. And it's no wonder we can't stand the weather, we can't hold the heat in our veins. In between questions and answers, there's no room to just see today. The world goes on turning, the seasons still change, we rearrange our lives. The best of intentions can't cover up pain, but we know that we'll give them a try. 'Cause a dream doesn't sound like a lie. So Sing me awake, I've been sleeping for far too long. Thanks so much for tuning in. It was a real honor and a privilege to be performing for you guys today in honor of UAE heritage and celebrating UAE heritage for Hekayah. I am a student at NYU Abu Dhabi. I'm currently a junior and I'm doing my classes remotely right now. So we're all on Zoom, we're all over video, and I am not in the UAE physically, but I'm really looking forward to hopefully returning soon in the future, because over the past few years, this has really become a very significant home for me, as I know it has for many other of my fellow students. And this next song that I'm going to play for you is really special to me because I wrote it as part of a theater project at NYU Abu Dhabi, and it's called On Our Borders, and it is kind of about connecting with each other even though there is distance between us, which I think is a really important thing to be thinking about right now. Where do we go from here when nothing's clear and there's no answer that'll help us all? Nobody's shown us how to live this moment we are in. We have to make that call. But we're just taking claim to different ground, taking comfort in our own sweet sound. If we try to build a better world today, can we really go beyond ourselves? Or will we only ever live apart on our borders? I got to know myself and all the ways I thought I moved across these country lines. But am I really fixing any problems with this picture-perfect little life of mine? 'Cause we're just taking claim to different ground, taking comfort in our own sweet sound. If we try to build a better world today, can we really go beyond ourselves? Or will we only ever live apart on our borders? Maybe we won't always live apart on our borders. I stand in between the sights, tastes, and smells. I stand in between sounds. In between the oh ya mal and the nadba, I stand. The bold mountains and the untold wonders of the seas, between the stories of what happened 49 years ago and how Ras Al Khaimah was the last to join. I hear my grandma crying with joy, "It's a boy!" They named him Abdullah. I hear all the 35 Abdullah speaking in unison. Abdullah, 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 the 35th, the 70th. I never expected any other name. Sand, sand, sounds. You carry your family's name from birth to death. They always say, you rise with your family and your family's name rises even after you're buried. You came from the sand, sand, sounds, and you return. You came from the sand. You came from the sand, sand, sounds, and you return. Smells. I stand in between two smells. I stand in between two smells, the salty seas and smell of the ghaf tree and the desert. I smell rain, my grandma's AC and the machboos I never liked. I smell fish, بخور perfume and the Arabian coffee I never tried. Hold the dalla with your left and the finyan with your right. They shake the finyan once they're done. I smell the coffee. I see the guests, but I never memorize the steps. Sights. I see palm trees and my family growing side by side, the dates and the stories of generosity and how the 17th neighbor never slept with an empty stomach. I see a tent and I laugh. I wonder whose tent they named Ras Al Khema after. I wonder. There's one plate in front of me. I see my grandma and her 10 kids eating from one plate. I see my father sharing his country's birthday, learning his first steps with his country rising as it did, promising he's young. So is his country of 7. I see my other uncles and aunts growing side by side with the landmarks and the buildings of their country. I see palm trees next to them. The roots are still strong. With every wave I hear, I see water rising with his country. He never left the water because it was part of his country and he belonged to the water. The water made him alive. And the songs were the oxygen to his soul. He would still go, oh Yamal, even when the tide was high and he was watering his palm trees. I see 30 houses, our neighborhood, the only neighborhood I knew. Maybe it was 5 neighborhoods into one. Maybe it was one big house that welcomed everyone. I hear her talk about different colors, languages, and humanity, and I laugh. Because humanity, colors, and languages don't make sense to me. The only colors I know are pink and purple and the blue ball my cousins played with.
Tastes.
I taste the Vimto they gave to the whole neighborhood when I was born. Why Maryam? I wonder. The first out of 50 might have the answer.
Touches.
I feel the hot sun penetrating my soft skin and its rays. I see my grandma's skin, the stories of befriending the sun when they all lived up in the mountains. They loved the sun. Their camels loved the sun, their children loved the sun, and their palm trees loved the sun.
No sunscreens? I wonder and wonder and lose myself in the series of wandering and wandering. I feel the wind. I feel the wind, and I see how the wind took him away from Ras Al Khaimah. I see his roots with every steps and the seeds he plants wherever he goes. Abu Dhabi is where he reached, the first of 7, the capital. In between touches, smells, sights, sounds. In a car, in between 2 cities, I'd wake up to beaches and high buildings. Few hours ago, looking through the same window, I saw mountains. I'm looking through the same window, and there aren't mountains. There are beaches and high buildings. I close my eyes. I close my eyes and imagine the mountains. They helped me feel super safe, and they helped me sleep. I open my eyes and I see a colored abaya. I look around my family, and I'm the only one standing there, in between. She always said we're both here and there, and in between here and there. She always said we're both here and there, and in between here and there, family, strong roots, mountains, cousins, and the 15th neighbor that celebrated your birth by giving away soft drinks to the neighborhood. Here and there, and in between here and there. Here and there, and in between here and there, your school, your university, your family. And you can call all of the UAE your home. I stand in between sounds, sand, smells, sights, tastes, touches. I stand in between. I stand in between.
Next in line, we have Ian Ketaku, born and raised by Ghanaian parents and based in Canada. An internationally acclaimed spoken word poet, National Slam and 2010 World Poetry Slam champion, he uses his voice to inspire messages of peace, action, and critical thought, and his work is strongly influenced by his upbringing and journeys throughout Africa. Following Ian is Rachel Duwaysan, a Kuwaiti oral historian and writer. She earned an MA in Middle Eastern Studies from Harvard University, and her poetry has appeared in the Cordite Poetry Review and is forthcoming in Cathexis Northwest.
My home is a great big place. It cannot be defined by borders or barriers. I find home in the soft places, where love grows like grapes on the fingers of vines. The sky is cloudy, but it is open. The air is smoggy, but it is free. The ground is falling from beneath us, but still holds our souls with humility. These trenches, like gutters, my body, your neighbor, blood fills this neighborhood with potential. Do not worry about greener grasses. Give thanks for the grass, as humble as it may be. When love left our home, we gave her just enough cash to last the year. It is time to call her back. We, the decadent immigrants, the caretakers of this land, will renovate our home with all the hope we can muster. We will overcome without coming over. Searching for joy in the depths of lesions, it will hurt. It will take work. Some of us will break. some of our homes will be broken. But if home is where the heart is, then you are my home. And that means my home is a great big place.
I'm so honored to be a part of this celebration and to share some of my poetry with you. I'll be sharing 3 pieces, the first of which is about the power of storytelling. So as an oral historian, I collect stories. I interview members of older generations and ask them about what life was like in this part of the world in the past and gather their memories. And lately I found a lot of comfort in their words, and I think it's because there's something really reassuring about listening to people reflect on their lives, particularly on those episodes of regional, national, international crisis. I think for many of us this has been a time of great uncertainty and a source of great anxiety. We don't know what to expect tomorrow, next week, next month, even next year, and there's so much that is beyond our control. And I think listening to stories about incidents like famine, war, natural disaster, earthquakes, locust infestations, drought, and accounts of people that have sort of lived through these times become great reminders that this too shall pass, and that there will be a moment of where we can begin to rebuild and move forward with our lives. And so my first piece is a call for the collection of more of these stories that I think can be incredibly inspiring for existing generations. And it's called Oral History. And if I could, I would build a gallery of tongues, each on a pedestal plump and outstretched, and they would speak of the winter you told me about, the year when the sand was feathered with snow, your goat-haired homes too stiff to fold, and I would seek the gust that lifted your cloak, numbed your toes, emptied your cups. Seek the air that filled your lungs, now warm enough, so tell us more. And my next piece was inspired by a book I read by Thomas More, and he makes a very interesting distinction between the soul and the spirit. And he says that the soul is the part of ourselves that is immersed in our daily realities. It's the messy part of our lives, the highs and lows of our relationships with our parents, with our kids, with our spouses, with our friends, the complications and rewards in our work, the arguments. And he likens them to the roots of a tree. The deeper we dig into the dirt in our lives, the more entangled our lives become, and the more opportunities for the soul to deepen emerge. And I found that really interesting. The spirit, on the other hand, is the part of ourselves that is removed from our everyday realities. It's the part of ourselves that is uplifted by dance, by prayer, meditation, travel, study. It's the part of ourselves that strives for something higher, something greater. And so I was thinking a lot about how these different aspects of ourselves come out to play in the urban experience, in the urban environment. So I wrote this piece about a creature that tries to climb a skyscraper, and it's called High Rise. What if a goat tried to mount the city summit? Would his hooves grip the steel pipes leading up to the spire, or slide down sheets of glass, smooth as smoldering ice? Does he drink from the dancing fountain? lick the wallflower waters, rest for every song, or wait to taste the clouds, spun like sugar by a giant's steady hand? Is he lonely? Does he find relief in his reflection, mirrored eyes crowded with want? Or chase the winning sky, draw himself closer to her flaming heart? At the top, does he bleat at the earthbound traffic, join the chorus of horns, or raise his head to the heavens in gratitude, gratitude, gratitude? So my third piece is also about the urban experience, but a different aspect of it. It's about navigation. And for centuries, this part of the world was largely nomadic, and people relied heavily on movement to survive. People had to find sources of water, pastures for livestock, areas to trade, coasts to travel from. And as a result, astronomy, cartography, navigation really flourished. And I came across this amazing map by the Moroccan cartographer Mohammed El-Idrisi. And I was amazed at the sort of bareness of the landscape and how people had to learn how to read the natural world, the environment, in order to get from one place to another. They had to read the earth, they had to read the sky. And I became really fascinated with this. And not only that, also with how that kind of engagement with our natural environment has evolved over time, because I don't think it's stopped. I think we still rely heavily on the skies and the land to navigate, but just in different ways. So this piece is about that, and it's called Al-Ard. I hardly recognize you, bare and nameless, a green path, vital as a vein snaking its way up to Ard al-Yamama. In early spring, desert thistles align themselves with the stars, a trail of crumbs for a camel caravan. Now the stars have faded, this land a plantation of light. I map the sky with my hands, invoke satellites with a flick of a thumb, a blue dot guides me. Over concrete hills, concrete fields, highways, always humming. Thank you very much.
Our second to last artist is Zohab Khan, a fourth generation Australian of Pakistani heritage and having been raised in regional Australia and now based in the UK. Zohab has channeled his life experiences into poetry and with the intent to educate, confronting issues like racism and inequality.
Hello. Hi, my name is Zohab Z Khan, and it is an absolute pleasure to be a part of this year's Hekayah festival, especially on such an important day for the Emirati people. So thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this festival. It would have been nice to be there in Abu Dhabi with you, but alas, such is the nature of the world right now. So I hope wherever you happen to be, you're happy, safe, and well. Congratulations to the organizers and my fellow performers. When I heard of the themes of this year's festival of home, heritage, and identity, I wanted to write something specifically for this event. And this is a poem that I wrote in response to the ideas of home and my identity and heritage. And I live in London now, and my home, my family majority live in Australia. I'm a fourth generation Australian, but I also have this heritage in the subcontinent. So I bounced off that. So what you're about to hear is the first part is in Punjabi, inspired by the Punjabi Sufi poet from the 17th century, Bulle Shah. And then I translate that into English. And then I put some Urdu, I sprinkle some Urdu through it, and end with some Punjabi as well. So I hope you do enjoy it. And without any further ado, here we go. Chal. चल बुलिया उसी होते चलिए जिथे सारे अपने चल बुलिया उसी होते चलिए जिथे सारे अन्ने जिथे कोई जात ना पूछे ना कोई सानू माने चल बुलिया चल घर चल चल बुलिया चल घर चल चल बुलिया चल let me go Let me go to where I can call them mine. Let me go to where they are all blind. Let me go to where they do not ask of my last name nor lineage. Let me go to where they do not know me. Let me go. Let me go. Let me go home. Let me go. Let me go home. Let me go home. Home is memories of my grandmother getting lost in the Damadamast calendar of Kawali. Each midday she would sit, radio tuned, eyes closed, and fingers tapping to the rag of Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan. Home is the first fast water break sip in Ramadan. It is my mother's arms after months on the road. It is the Urdu that we trade to each other on the phone. She says, "Come home, son," but also says, "Gar or Allah no dil mein rehte hai na." Home and Allah both live in your heart, my son. Home is my sister's laugh. It is in my brother's cafe where we sip lattes, chew fat, and talk about money, politics, and bench press gym sessions. It is in our father's lessons. Chup karke suno. Shut up and listen. It is the past pain of father's backhands that are never discussed, rather hushed. It is why I ran, for home was never safe, so I sailed seas and learnt manhood through mistakes and fractured hearts. They say home is where the heart is, so I leave a part of my heart wherever I roam, so that the world may become my home. Home is boarding passes and Abu Dhabi airport lines. It is in that stranger's conversation on that night in Shanghai. Home is on that Ho Chi Minh City rooftop where I finally exhaled. It is in traveling. It is in walking. It is in walking till feet's blisters peel and become petals. See, I was never made for one place, for I am the legacy of immigrants and warriors. I am the legacy of my grandfather's footprints across new borders. I am the legacy of daughters being considered less than sons. I am my 11-year-old father on a boat bound for Pakistan, a land he is about to see for the very first time. I am my 19-year-old mother, adorned in gold, marrying a man she is about to see for the very first time. I am my trilingual tongue, tripping over Urdu and Punjabi. Mahi hu gar. I am my own home. Kadi kadi nani di yaad aa jandi hai Kawali di raag che. Chal. Chal buliya asi uthe chaliye jithe sare apne. Chal buliya asi uthe chaliye jithe sare anne. जिथे कोई जात ना पूछे ना कोई सानू माने. चल बुलिया चल घर चल, चल बुलिया चल घर चल, चल बुलिया चल. Let me go home. Thank you. Hopefully you enjoyed that. It meant a lot for me to write that poem. It's still very fresh and I'm still learning my way around it. But yeah. Next, I'll do another poem. This is another poem, similar themes. This one begins with Urdu. I think it's a lot of fun to twist your tongue around different languages. खुदी को कर बुलंद इतना कि हर तकदीर से पहले खुदा बंदे से ये पूछे पता तेरी रज़ा क्या है. Hekayah. Before every step you take and decision you make, my son, make your convictions so strong that God himself will pause fate just to ask you what you would like to do next with your next step. This is a lesson I learned from my father, who learned it from his father, who learned it from his father, my great-grandfather, a man who in 1901 left his home in a land now known as Pakistan to land on Australian shores. For he was young, passionate, and ready to explore, and I can't begin to believe what it would have felt like for a man of only 19 to leave his home, newlywed wife and child on the way, and stand at Bombay port in front of a ship bigger than anything his eyes would have ever seen. See, I like to believe I'd be a lot like he. For he was born to explore. Born to a long lineage of warriors of war, and I know there's a lot of warrior in me, for 4 generations of my family have called this land home, and despite my skin tone and sexy subcontinental big nose, this is my home, this is my land, and I say this courtesy of a great man, my great-grandfather the warrior, a man who in 1901 waged war with the world and boarded a boat to a new life. 112 years later, I sit hospital bedside watching my father wither. Cancer's taken his lungs and his heart don't beat blood so good no more. He believes he's weak, but he's not weak. He is a warrior. My father is a warrior. He is the grandson of a warrior. And I know my grandson will tell tall tales about his great-grandfather, a man who forged frontiers and raised a son who wasn't afraid to stand on stages and share his soul. My father is a warrior. Thank you, my warriors. Okay, I'm going to go into the next poem. Let's go into the next poem. This is my last poem. My time's just about up. But like I said, thank you again for putting this together, despite these strange times that we live in. This is a poem that I wrote when I saw my grandfather, my Nana, in Pakistan. And he recited some poetry to me. I asked him to recite poetry as he is a poet. And this is the poem that came out of the poem. It's quick. I hope you enjoy. Today I listened. I listened to my grandfather recite poetry. He told me of a love that still lives inside for my late grandmother that no longer stands by his side. He told me that to be a man is more than just being male, and to be a woman is heavier than we'll ever understand. He told me to be proud of my regal ancestry, but said be not too proud, for a man is judged on his now and never his history. He told me to forgive quickly, and to always let love grow, for it is the best of investments. He said, I will rest soon, son, but I will live through your eyes like my grandfather has always lived through mine. Today I listened. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Ending off the celebratory event is Dubai-based Gohari and the band. Gohari is an Egyptian starlet born in the UAE, known for her role as Disney's Cinderella in classic Arabic. Labeled the happy voice by her fans, she brings her African Middle Eastern roots to worldwide music with a sense of authenticity and passion no one can deny. Thank you for joining us today for Hekayah, the story. While we enjoy the beautiful music of Gohari, let's all celebrate how we came together to create a story in celebration of humanness and love in honor of the UAE's National Day.
Happy UAE National Day! Hi, this is Gohari. The band and I are really excited to be performing at NYU Abu Dhabi Arts Center's Hekayah, the online version. We're going to be performing one of my originals called El Mihwar, as well as our humble cover of El Amakin by Muhammad Abdu. Check it out!
قالوا عالبنات ديابة، قالوا علينا ديابة، احنا يا ناس غلابة. احكي لكم يوم من اللي احنا بنشوفه، ويمكن تحسوا وتعرفوا، يمكن تشوفوا احنا بيجرالنا ايه يا عيني. يلا سمعني. ركبت عربيتي واخدت المحور ومروحة بيتي، ها وجدتها بتمطر. ركبت عربيتي واخدت المحور ومروحة بيتي، وجدتها بتمطر. لا اعرف من اين وكيف طلع لي واد وظل خلفي يلاحقني 3 ساعات.
اسمه ايه؟
لا اعرف من اين وكيف طلع لي واد وظل خلفي يلاحقني 3 ساعات. فسئمت منه وفتحت الشباك وقلت يكفي بدل انا ما اعملها معاك. فسئمت منه وفتحت الشباك وقلت يكفي بدل أنا ما أعملها معاك، ركبت عربيتي بالمحور. الطبلة
هوب هوب يا سلام هوبا.
فلبثت أكمل طريقي وبلف وارجع، سمعت صوتا فظيعا كاوتش فرقع.
يا ساتر.
فلبثت أكمل طريقي وبلف وارجع، سمعت صوتا فظيعا بوم فرقع. قلت لنفسي ايه الحظ ده يا ربي، فوقف شاب شكله جنتل متربي. قلت لنفسي ايه الحظ ده يا ربي، فوقف شاب شكله جنتل متربي. غير كاوتشي وعزمني على العشاء، ركبت عربيتي من المحور. يلا محور جيزة إمبابة وزيتون، محور ويلي أكتوبر طب فيصل، محور جيزة إمبابة زيتون حلوان. يلا يلا عبود، محور ويلي أكتوبر منيا الفيصل مؤسسة. محور جيزة منوفية اسكندرية منصورة أبو ظبي 1 2 3 يلا. الأماكن كلها مشتاقة لك، والعيون اللي نرسم فيها خيالك، والحنين اللي صار بروحي وجالك. ما هو بس أنا حبيبك، الأماكن كلها مشتاقة لك. كل شي حولي يذكرني بشي، حتى صوتي وضحكتي لك فيها شي. لو تغيب الدنيا عمرك ما تغيب، شوف حالي من تطري علي. الأماكن الأماكن كلها مشتاقة لك، مشتاقة لك. المشاعر في غيابك ذاب فيها كل صوت، والليالي من عذابك عذبت فيني السكوت. وصرت خايف لا تجيني لحظة يذبل فيها قلبي، وكل أوراقي تموت. لو تدري حبيبي كيف أيامي بدونك تسرق العمر وتفوت. الأمان وين الأمان، وأنا قلبي من رحلت ما عرف طعم الأمان. ليه كل ما جيت أسأل هالمكان أسمع الماضي يقول، أسمع الماضي يقول. ليه كل ما جيت أسأل هالمكان أسمع الماضي يقول أسمع الماضي يقول ما هو بس أنا حبيبك ما هو بس أنا حبيبك الأماكن 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 كلها مشتاقة لك مشتاقة لك الأماكن اللي مريت انت فيها عايشة بروحي وبيها بس لكن ما لقيتها الأماكن اللي مريت انت فيها عايشة بروحي وبيها بس لكن ما لقيتها جيت قبل العطر يبرد قبل حتى يذوب في صمت الكلام واحتريتها جيت قبل العطر يبرد قبل حتى يذوب في صمت الكلام واحتريتها كنت أظن الريح جابت عطرك يسلم علي كنت أظن الشوق جابك تجلس بجنبي شوي كنت أظن وخاب ظني وماني قابل عمر شي واحتريتها الأماكن 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 كلها مشتاقة لك مشتاقة لك
I want to thank you all for coming to the 6th edition of Hekayah the Story in honor of UAE National Day. I want to thank all of the artists for participating. I want to thank our host, Maitha Al-Suwaidi. I want to thank all of the curators and nominators, including Maitha, as well as Noor Al-Suwaidi, Hanan Syed Worrell, Tishani Doshi, and Dorian Paul Rogers. And I want to thank all of the staff and crew of the Art Center for making tonight's event possible. I also want to invite you back to upcoming events, including December 7th, the next edition of Cinnamon For You Will Die at 20. On Thursday, December 10th, Kid Koala's Music to Draw To. And on December 11th, a special haiku deathmatch, slam, and open mic in the next edition of Rooftop Rhythms. Thank you all for joining us, and have a great National Day. Good night.